What's up, guys? D-Rock1992 here. For this next video, and for my next movie review, I am going to be talking about a movie that came out last year. It was considered one of the best of last year. I believe it was the number 5 movie overall at the box office, at the worldwide box office. And that movie was The Jungle Book. So The Jungle Book is... you can kind of consider it a live-action adaptation of the animated movie. Because... well, first of all, The Jungle Book, the animated film, I grew up with the film. I really enjoyed it as a child and all that. It was a fun, it was a fun movie. For sure. So, The Jungle Book, I believe it came out in 1967, I want to say. But Walt Disney did it right with The Jungle Book. It's, I consider it one of the best Disney movies in the Disney Animated Classics canon. So now, flash forward to 2016... and we have a live-action adaptation, which it essentially is a little bit, because the kid, Mowgli, is actually a real-life human in this live-action adaptation. But he's the only one. He really is one of the only... he's the only one that's really live-action, because everybody else voices a character in this movie. So, anyway, this kind of continues, now this guy named Rudyard Kipling, he wrote the Jungle Book series, he wrote a whole series of books, I believe, and he is the originator of the Jungle Book. So, the story is, Mowgli is this kid who's stranded in the jungle. This family of wolves raises him, and this panther named Bagheera keeps an eye on him. Basically, keeps him safe. When the most feared tiger in the jungle, Shere Khan, threatens Mowgli's life, Bagheera says, I gotta take you to safety. So, Bagheera tries to get Mowgli to go to a man village, a village with his own kind, so that he could be safer from the wrath of Shere Khan. So that essentially is the whole plot and narrative of The Jungle Book. And this adaptation really, it really expands on that a little bit, follows the story very well. This kid named Neel Sethi plays Mowgli. And then we have a lot of voice actors who play the main characters of The Jungle Book. Bagheera is played by Ben Kingsley. Baloo, who is Mowgli's best friend, who's a bear, is played by Bill Murray. You have Shere Khan the Tiger, who is played by Idris Elba. He's the main antagonist. You also have Scarlett Johansson, who plays the snake Kaa, who, in the books, is one of Mowgli's friends, but in the movies is portrayed as kind of the secondary antagonist. But you have some great voice talents who are voicing these characters, and they're a little bit of a story, because I think Ben Kingsley did a good job voicing Bagheera. I think Scarlett Johansson did a good job portraying Kaa in one major scene. That is the extent to which Scarlett Johansson's in this movie. She's only in one scene, basically. But it's memorable. I think Idris Elba does a good job as Shere Khan. But I think the star of the movie is Baloo. I think Bill Murray as Baloo was great. I mean, who would have thought, honestly? I mean, I think there were people who thought, Bill Murray as Baloo in a serious type movie? Mm. But he ended up doing a good job, and his performance ended up being praised, as well as Ben Kingsley as Bagheera and um, Idris Elba as Shere Khan. So, and the kid did pretty good too, Neel Sethi. He did a pretty good job, and so yeah, I've said that the voice cast and the kid who plays Mowgli, they did a good job in this movie, and they did. But the real superstars of this movie, of this film, are the people who did the CGI for this movie, because it is incredible looking. It is. I mean, you look at this animation, you look at this computer graphic imagery, CGI, that was throughout this movie, and you think, my God, they look like real animals. They're computer generated imagery animals, but they look like the real thing. Baloo looks like a real bear. Shere Khan looks like a real tiger. Bagheera looks like a real panther. The wolves who raised Mowgli look like actual real wolves. It is incredible to see this CGI come into full effect, and it really was groundbreaking. A lot of people said it was groundbreaking, and that is the true superstar of this film, The Jungle Book. The story is great. The story's good. The characters are really good, but the CGI in this movie is incredible, and that raises it over the top for me, for sure. And you have to give props to the director as well, Jon Favreau, who most famously directed the first two Iron Man films. And it has also directed other films as well. But I mean, Jon Favreau did a good job putting this film together, trusting in the people who created the CGI for him, and really creating an experience. Watching this movie made me kind of feel bad that I didn't see it in the theaters, because it would have been a true experience in theaters. It really would have been. Still, watching it on Netflix, you still see the great results of what this movie brought. And it is really a revolution of sorts for CGI, I think it's been called that for sure. So, overall, my overall review of this movie is a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a very good movie. The CGI is the star of the movie here. But you also have a good voice cast. You also have a good story. And good drama, good lightheartedness. This movie sort of kind of recaptures that Jungle Book animated movie spirit, I think the animated movie is more lighthearted, more spirited. This one's a little bit darker, but it does retain some of that lightheartedness that the Walt Disney animated classic did. For one thing, there are I believe two songs that were in the animated film that were in this film. And they were sung pretty good by the voice cast. So, I forgot. Christopher Walken plays King Louie, the orangutan, who was also in the animated. King Louie was a character in the animated Jungle Book. So I forgot about Christopher Walken. And he was Christopher Walken. He was Walken being Walken. He was quite good in his role. So, yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely consider watching it, for sure. I would definitely recommend it. So, and that's it. That is it for this review on the 2016 Jungle Books version. D Rock 1992 out.